So according to the NSPCC, when's the best age to leave a child home alone? The answer is 13.
Now, don't forget a little later you can carry on camping if you're looking at the ultimate credit crunch holiday this summer but don't know what you might need or where to go. Expert Will Gray is here to help. What are the most common questions that are put to you, pitched to you by reluctant campers?
I think one of the most common questions is someone who's got a partner who absolutely hates camping.
Yes.
You know, they just can't stand the whole prospect of waking up in the middle of the night and tramping across a damp Welsh hillside to the toilet block
Use
and
a
all
bucket
that sort of
inside
thing.
the tent, that's what I do.
You can. We've got some pretty snazzy gadgets here, and you can get toilets that go inside the tent as well. But that's a very popular question. Right. Families, you know, it's become very, very popular to go camping with your kids. And a popular question is, you know, where are the best family-friendly campsites? What's the essential gear? What do I look out for in a site?
What do you actually need to have a camping holiday? I mean, you literally can have the kitchen sink. Whether or not you should take one, I suppose, it all depends on how long you're going for, where you're going, and
it
so
does,
forth.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this took about 3 hours, 3 people, 3 hours to put up this morning. But if you're based in one place for a couple of weeks, then bring it on. It's a great bit of kit.
And what's in this?
Ah, that's my mosquito head net. You put it over your head and it gives you hands-free protection from midges. You know, when you're trying to cook your sausages.
Oh,
there you go.
That's a huge improvement.
And it's a fashion accessory as well. Perfect.
Now, thanks, Will. If you want to work with this guy, here's Kirsty with the numbers. Kirsty.
Thank you, Matthew. If you'd like to get in touch, the number, as usual, is 0207 173 5555. Remember, calls are going to cost a maximum of 10 pence a minute, and that is based on a BT landline call. Mobile phone charges and other networks may vary. You can also email us, writestuff@5.tv, and if you'd like to send us a text, the number is 80088. Text messages will set you back 25 pence plus your standard network charge. Remember, not all messages will be shown on screen, and always put TWS before your comment. And finally, if you would like to tweet us this afternoon, then you can tweet us at Twitter, and the address is twitter.com/5writestuff.
Putting that thing on my head, it reminded me there was a guy in the cricket, and they just called him the Green Man, the commentators, and he was dressed entirely in green nylon, including all over his head. There were no eyes or anything. Pervert. Right. Must be. OK, this part. Is it a crime to leave children 9 years of age or younger alone, unsupervised in a park, but for a short time? A mum of 5 is furious after finding out she had a police record for doing just that in Wiltshire. She left 4 of her kids, the eldest was 9, playing in a park while she popped to a shop with the 5th. A copper spotted the kids playing alone, spoke to mum on her return, and then logged the incident with the Criminal Records Bureau. Now, didn't tell her this only came to light when she applied to be a volunteer for a Sunday school, and a criminal records check labelled her a risk to children. And yet, there is no law governing how old a child should be before they can be left unsupervised, so no crime could have been committed. We heard a similar story from a lady called Claire who rang this show on Friday. We were talking about paedophile paranoia, and if you were watching, you'll remember how she told us how her own neighbours had come over to have a word with her after she allowed her kids to play unsupervised in a park across the road, and they basically labelled her a bad mum. Now, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children recommends, as we've heard there, that kids under 13 are not left alone, although it concedes it all depends on how mature the child is. A Home Office inquiry found almost half Britain's parents, it's about 43%, felt children shouldn't be allowed outside on their own until they were 14, though, and this is, we were talking about this last week, Denise, though most of these parents who had this problem had themselves been out and about, minus mum and dad, when they were kids aged just 10. I was arguing last week paedophile paranoia is affecting the desire to protect the small number of children who are hurt by paedophiles is actually damaging, clipping the wings of hundreds of thousands, millions of children that are safe. Now, this is slightly different. This is just unsupervised play in a park, Denise.
Oh, my goodness, it's a serious subject, isn't it? I mean, I'm guilty. I lived in London and my boy got attacked twice, and I moved out of London to a safer place. So I...
How old was he when he was attacked?
He was 11, and he'd seen a few knives and all sorts of things, and I just didn't really know how to handle it. That wasn't the only reason that we meant, but, that we left. But I would want to protect children. At the same time, if you, like I know another family, they didn't let their boy go on the bus on his own. And, of course, when he got to whatever age, 13 or 14, that we all deemed to be safe, he said, no, I don't want to go on the bus, give us a lift. You're bringing up your children to be independent in the world that is now. So you have to arm them to feel safe within this world, to know what to do. And 14 is far too late, 13 is far too late for a child to...
Oh, in the case in point here, the lady in Wiltshire...
Yeah.
4 kids, eldest 9, playing in a park. Mum leaves the park, goes to a corner shop, buys something and comes back. I don't know how long, we don't have the details, how long that would involve. I'm guessing not long. Did she do something that warrants having a police record, not a criminal record, a police record?
I think it's absolutely outrageous. And I tell you, the big thing, I
what,
think...
her going to the shops?
No,
and
no,
the
no.
or...
I think it's the police going and giving her a record that she didn't know about. The secrecy, I think, is the real thing that is the problem here. You know, because
well,
she
back to Big Brother Britain and all the people out there that used to keep telling me, if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to fear. Well, there's a woman who... Some people feel she's done something wrong, but no crime has been committed.
Can you imagine the embarrassment of this poor woman, who, to my money, hasn't done anything wrong? I mean, you know...
You think it's acceptable
I think it's totally acceptable,
children?
you know, because a 9-year-old, he could be like a 15-year-old, you know, mentally, you know. Obviously, she had a complete confidence in him to look after the others. It wasn't very far. We're not quite sure how far it was. She took the youngest child with her. She came back, and the police then... should have perhaps cautioned her, but not given...
For what? What's she done
well, no,
wrong?
no, but just said, you know, you left...
No crime has
There's
been
no crime at all.
committed.
You're right, they shouldn't have gone. But, I mean, I
Sure,
think
they have other more important things to worry about. Rape, murder, robbery,
Yes, exactly.
graffiti,
What would you
crime...
have, OK, I do agree with you, but also you have to think of the other alternative. What if one of the children had gone missing?
Yes, but
No,
the
no,
what-if scenario,
would have
Yasmin,
said-
but the what-if
no, no.
scenario you can apply to everything.
Yeah, but then we
Everybody
would have
stay
said,
inside your
on
house,
your-
because if you leave, you may be hit by a bird that
No, but
dies
then
mid-air,
we-
lands on your head,
then
knocks you
on
unconscious.
your programme, the same discussion would have been, what kind of a mum is this? Why didn't the police do this? I mean, we have to remember that there is a danger, but what the police... And I don't even think the policeman was wrong to say, are you on your own? Are you OK? But it is the recording of it. It is then putting it into this pipeline of kind of criminalising the mother.
The act itself,
That's
Yasmin, but the act
wrong.
itself of leaving children, I mean, I found it fascinating that 43% of parents feel that their kids aren't safe to go out alone until they're 14, and yet that same group of parents, most of them were running around unsupervised when they were 10.
The world is different, Matthew. The world
Is it, or is it our perception of the world
No,
that's
I
different?
do think the world is very different. Of course, there were paedophiles then. Of course, we didn't talk about it then. Oh, I accept that. But the world is completely different for young kids.
It seems to me that what we're talking about is a complete breakdown in community. I mean, there's different places.
Oh,
it's
well,
not
there's
all
a point, isn't
London.
there?
You know, if you know that your children can go out and the community will look after them because
that's a
they will
very good
know
point.
them by name and they will notice if they're doing something wrong and they'll come and tell you, and then we're talking to each other. What we're talking about is a world where everyone feels alienated and the police do what they like and we just whinge on telly.
Because I'm going to take your point and say that what the policeman did in many ways was a very good thing initially. He got involved because he saw a scenario and thought there are kids that are very young, I want to check what the situation is.
He should have just
Once
stayed with
mum
kids.
returns, he could say, I don't approve of you taking your kids out, but there's no law against it. Think about it next time and walk off. Job done. That's a community taking care of children. Putting someone on file for it, something very different.
Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
OK. Lots of issues from a seemingly simple act of leaving your children to go to a shop. I know a lot of you watching wouldn't dream of doing it, although it may well have been the case that your parents would have been quite happy leaving you when you were a child. Let's hear what you have to say. Kirsty.
We have Stephanie online too.
Stephanie, good morning.
Hi, I've got 4 children. I've got one at 10, 9, 2 and 1.
Right.
And I would never, ever trust my 9-year-old or my 10-year-old to supervise my 2 girls in a park on their own. It's putting too much responsibility on that child.
For 5 minutes?
If something happens...
5 minutes, Stephanie? Just 5 minutes?
Sorry?
Would you not trust them for just 5 minutes?
Not even for 5 minutes. It only takes a minute. If one of my girls fell, you know, it's the responsibility on that older child. It's not fair. Why should you put that responsibility on?
Well, you've got to have some responsibility at some point in your life, haven't you?
Yeah, but not at night.
Why not?
There's certain responsibilities like, please go and put this in a cupboard, or so. This is a child. It's not just a dog. You don't leave another child in charge.
So when would you? When would you, Stephanie?
Not till they're a teenager. Till I felt comfortable that they were mature enough to cope. If my daughter fell and injured herself, my son wouldn't know what to do. He doesn't know first aid.
There's a story today, and it's a tragic story about a 2-year-old boy who drowns I think it's on a holiday camping park, because his parents took their eye off him for one moment. Accidents happen. You can't keep your eye. Even parents fail at this. Most kids, of course, don't hurt, don't die, don't get hurt, don't get injured, don't get abducted. You don't think your view of what might happen to them is distorted?
No, I just think that my oldest son doesn't need that immense responsibility.
Okay. Go on, I can see you trying to get in there, Denise.
I think Matthew's really wrong to be nagging you. I think you're absolutely right. You should judge. They're your children, and you should be left to be responsible.
I have to say, I totally take issue with Stephanie saying that the children won't be capable until they're teenagers. I totally take issue with that. 10 years old, I was going around the West End on my own. I felt very, very comfortable with that.
You didn't have 3 other siblings with you?
No, I didn't have three other siblings. I was looking after my sister at home alone from, I suppose, 13, I suppose that was teens, 12, 13, yeah.
So that's what she's
Out and
saying.
about, though, out and about. All right, Stephanie, thank you. Let's have another.
Jared's on line 3.
Gerard, good morning.
Hello, Martin. What I would say is, I've got 4 kids. I send them down to the park. They're 9. Some of them are over 9 in a large group. They've never been harmed. They're clever. They know if they see trouble, they can get out of there. When I was a kid, 9, I'd never had any trouble. We're overprotecting our kids, yeah.
Gerard, Yasmin says the world has changed since you were a child.
I don't think so, no.
All right, no.
Good man.
So I mean, you talk about your son getting whacked. I got whacked when I was a teenager. I mean, I think there is more of it in this day and age. But then I think kids have more stuff to get whacked for. You know, I didn't have mobile phones. I didn't have iPods.
Exactly.
So there's more stuff that you have. You know, I mean, literally had your bus fare, and that was it. And of course, 10 Rothmans. There's a reason we were outside. Gerard, thank you. Let's have another.
On line 4, we have Kathy.
Kathy, good morning.
Hi.
What do you think?
Well, I think I'm a bit outraged with Gerard's just then about the world hasn't changed. Has he woken up yet? You know, the world has changed.
In what respect, Kathy? In what respect? The number of paedophile abductions and murders is relatively unchanged over the last 40 years.
Oh,
it's not true.
I just think the world... I mean...
There is a small rise, that's all. Very small rise.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kathy.
Okay, I just feel very frustrated as a mother of 2.
Yeah.
I would never leave my 14-year-old with my 11-year-old because of the way that they behave together. You know, I mean, things can happen. What about if that mother had come back and the child had have gone? You know, how could she live with herself? You know, of leaving her just because she had to go to
How
school.
do your kids get to school, Kathy?
How do my kids get to school? My 14-year-old gets to school on his bike, but I take my 11-year-old to a childminder that she takes her to school. There's children, when I'm going to the childminder, kids my daughter's age, walking to school. How can their mothers live with themselves if something happened on the way to school?
Well, Kathy, you see, I take the opposite view. You see, I think you're undermining your own child by not allowing them to go to school.
No, I'm protecting my child.
Or overprotecting.
No, I'm just a mother, and that's what we're here for.
We were going to school on the bus at 8.
It's not like
3p.
that.
That was the bus fare. 3p on a bus, 8 years old. All the other kids were there. Everybody think,
It was different then. Times are completely different now.
I'm not sure. I think our perception is totally different.
No, it's not just perceptions. You know, people like you know, Denise said, people don't take care of each other in the way they used to.
That is a good point.
You're scared of even intervening if a child is being bullied because you don't know what's going to happen to you, you know, so it's a different world.
I think the answer... I mean, I went to a place where people did take care of their community, and that might be an inner city, and it might be the countryside, but I think it is happening, and I think we have to bring up our children in the world as it is now and not whinge on about, you know, how it used to be safe and now it's... If we tell everybody it is too dangerous to breathe, then we're going to be a dysfunctional culture, aren't we?
Absolutely. If every child of 11 is taken to school by their parents, there will be no group of 11-year-olds that can hang out collectively and look out for each other, and I think they can look out for each other. Yeah. I don't think the nature of being 11 has changed. You can argue the world has changed, but I think You know, we did look out for each other when we were kids, because that's what you do. You would be aware. And I don't know, I'm sorry.
Maybe you're right
I'm
on
being
that last
told
point.
something from our editor here about the male-female divide on the calls. Women think it's a crime to leave children alone for a brief while. By and large, men don't, which is quite interesting. That's just based on the calls that we didn't get to air. So thank you very much for all your views. We have to take a break, and I'm afraid that also means it's a goodbye to you, Denise.
Oh.
Goes fast, doesn't it?
Have me back, it's fun.
Yeah, of course. Don't miss her Loose Screw show. You can find out more about it by looking up Denise on her MySpace page, by the way. Christopher and Yasmin, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Drive carefully, Yasmin. Really carefully.
I'll take my 11-year-old
Your daughter says she's only got
me.
2 hours to get home, you know, it's only 5 miles. Hopefully she'll be there by lunchtime. Ladies and gents, give it up for the panel. Thank you. After the ads, carry on camping. No biggins, you're going home. If you're looking for the cheapest holiday ever, but you aren't sure what you need or where to go, why not pitch a question to our expert, Will Gray? He's a great guy with an intense knowledge of his subject. OK, it's still the same old puns. I did my best. 0207 173 5555 is the number for your calls. Don't miss the Right Stuff's annual camping clinic. Straight after these ads, we're back in a jiffy.
What percentage of campers don't use official campsites? 7%, 27% or 57%? Find out after the ads.